Peter, thank you for again setting up this time to meet. Really appreciate having you as a client, as a friend over the last. How long has it been? Probably been
Gosh,
15.
13 years, 14 years. I've been in the IT world about 13 years, and I think I met you almost right when I started. So,
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah, 13. Only
yeah.
13 seemed like longer than that. This business ages you, my friend. But I've got
Gosh.
Peter Trautman from Restaurant Equippers, local business
hmm
here in the Columbus area. Um, Peter, if you don't mind, just give me a little background on Restaurant Equippers, maybe your mission statement there, and what you do there.
Sure. So, Restaurant Equippers is a family business that's been serving the restaurant industry for over 50 years. Um, our founder started the business after kind of having some experience buying and selling used equipment. And, that was an initial part of the business. And another part of that has been, it's what it's really grown into, is buying in large quantities to be able to offer low prices to customers. So, our mission really is to cut out kind of like the glamour and the flash, like no glossy catalogs or anything, and just provide people, good equipment at the lowest prices possible.
Really?
So
Okay. Good.
our
Tell me.
business has evolved from being in Columbus to being three different retail stores in three states and online shopping and, over the phone. Thanks to your help, we've continued that. A lot of over the phone sales as well. A lot of companies like to call in and, get info about products before they make the purchase.
And what's your role directly?
So I'm a systems engineer. My main responsibilities here are on things that are system related, as in, PCs, servers, phones. I'm the primary support for the phone system here. Kind of fall back on your support when, something is outside my wheelhouse. And, basically most things that plug in, we're still a large business, but a fairly small IT department. So, we have a kiosk. I set up a kiosk and got it configured and ready to go. So, whatever is necessary.
Really? All right. If you don't mind me asking, where's the kiosk going?
Oh, you have to come see it. It's actually got a 30-inch screen, a 30-inch touch screen, and it displays our website. We have a lot of products like one of our brands, Libby Glassware, sells 50,000 different types of glasses. Ice cream dishes, banana split, dishes like wine glasses, shot glasses. So we can't carry all of those in stock. So it provides a way for our customers to see those products that are only available online.
Interesting. All right. Good.
Yeah,
That's
we
it.
have it in store here now. We didn't have it for the last year, but and people are a little more comfortable. We keep it sanitized and all that, so playing it safe.
Good. Well, I'll have to make it back down there. Yep. You guys have
Yeah,
some cool things down there. You
sure.
mentioned that telecom's just part of your responsibility, so I'm just going to focus on that today. That's our specialty.
Yeah,
But tell me a little bit about the limitations you had on your previous system before Accent came along.
yeah. And I think it's a common limitation that people run into. We had got our connection, hardline connection, PRIs into the building here, and with that comes with a few limitations. We were tied to that carrier. We were tied to those hard lines coming into the building. Disaster recovery was limited. Uh, if those lines went down, we can't take those 300 phone numbers and just send them to a different phone number very easily, without having a second phone system set up. So our disaster was basically, hey, Detroit, you're going to now answer all the calls that the 20 agents in the call center were just answering, and that was rough.
Sure.
And we also relied on digital, but analog lines throughout the building, which in this building the wiring was ancient and quite difficult to keep up to date. Like, hey, Sally used to sit in this corner. Can you make that extension work again? It's like, well, where does that wire go? Let's find out. So I learned how to use a toner and, a lot of punch down tools and stuff I hadn't really gotten into before. But that's something, that's one of the limitations that we had was, dated phones, dated equipment, no integrations
Sure.
was
Yeah.
another limitation of that.
Well, as you mentioned, you were able to still conduct business. It just wasn't as efficient
Sure.
as you'd like, right? So, um,
Yeah, I mean, we were able to take calls and do everything just fine. But occasionally we'd have a problem like Actually, it was a big coincidence, but our main connection here that was providing all the phones went down about 3 days before we had planned to launch the phone system with Accent, and you guys were able to push it up, I think, almost a week. Maybe it was 3 days or a week
It
ahead of
was
time.
short.
It was like, hey, let's just do it now, and you guys made it happen. But that was a case where it was 3 days without any service
Yeah.
through a major provider, not a small provider.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you can't flop over to your backup connection if those are your hard wires. So.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I'm glad we could help you with that. Before we get to some more detail about that installation process, what about your call center? So you've
Yeah.
got agents. I know you have 3 locations, but how does that affect your call center on the old platform?
Yeah. So our call center queues worked fairly well. There, was not a lot of opportunity for innovation there. We were kind of at the limit at what that system could provide. And, part of our motivation for looking for a newer phone system was to kind of capture some of the, capabilities of a modern phone system and, like the Accent platform, a hosted platform. We had some reporting, which was pretty good. It was, we didn't have everything we needed there. We had queues set up and ring groups set up, but there was limitations to those groups as well. We were not able to prioritize agents. Setting up the queues, changing options, reconfiguring things was a little more tedious process through slightly more antiquated software. The head units we had were probably 11 years old, 12 years old, and the software on them was about that same age. So you can imagine some of the difficulties we ran into.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you looked at your contact center in the past, you were running reports. I heard you say kind of limited reports, but you were running reports. I assume it was basic, how long someone's been on hold or how long if the call got abandoned, things of that nature.
Sure. Yeah, we were running a lot of reports. Thankfully, we did have a good reporting package. Those reports were required to be run on the reporting server manually and then distributed. So someone would run the reports and then send the numbers on. For instance, on our daily sales reports, the accounting department puts the total calls for the previous day.
Sure.
So that number would have to be provided to them, and the modification of reports was also slightly of a clunky process. Like by the time I got here, I'd been here about 6, almost 7 years coming up next year. They've been using the phone system for many years, so most everything was just about where they liked it. There were some gaps that we're just not able to get, like agent activity reports were a little lacking in that. But for the most part, they were fairly happy. But,
yeah,
there's always room for more.
Sure,
we're very hungry for advanced reporting around here. So people always have more questions.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to get to. So I know you had some, I won't call them basic reports, but some reports that were working for the company for a long time. When you looked at our platform, the agent reporting, that seemed to be something that your contact center manager was actually looking for through the discovery process with us. I think we showed you those things because those are some of the highlights that we implemented. You want to maybe talk about some of the new ones that you're using?
Yeah. So, there's a couple different reports that we've used right off the bat. We have some overview reports where we're able to, in the same report, get a summary of agent activity per queue and see an overall picture at the same time so that, our manager can get a daily report where she sees what happened yesterday, and then at the end of the week, a report goes out, and these are all automatically scheduled via email through the MX Report platform. It gives her an overview. It gives her a weekly summary. We're able to get wrap code summaries. She's now using the agent presence time. So how many minutes did you spend on a call versus how many minutes were you doing what else you do?
Right.
So
right.
that's a question that's been asked. Like they have a lot of other responsibilities besides calls. Our agents also deal with warranty, returns, troubleshooting on projects. So there's a lot more than just sales involved for our staff.
Okay.
And we're also able to use the MX Archive service through your platform. And now that we're pulling that data in, our business intelligence person has been able to marry up the data that you provide us with our sales data so that she can immediately see number of sales right next to the total number of answered calls. And, that often correlates very closely. People who answer more calls get some more customers, get some more sales.
Yeah.
So, and, we're also using reports like talk time to find out, if you spend an extra minute on the call with an agent and you're able to make 2 or 3 upsells, which, we've shown that call length has increased, but through sales training, we're able to add on to sales and make our average sales go up without that much more time. You take 1 more minute on a 4-minute call and you sell significantly more. It's worth the investment in time and then worth the investment in your customer to make sure they're happy and that you're actually getting what they want.
Good.
Because, returns on a box to Amazon are fine, but when we sell someone a $5,000 griddle, putting that back in a crate and shipping it to us is not a cheap process and not very easy. So we want to make sure they get it right the first time.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting that kind of data now.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about during the discovery process before implementation, you also looked at recording of calls, and I believe there was scoring of agent activity.
Yeah.
Has that been implemented, or are you still interested in
that? We're definitely still using the recording. The screen recording, actually, that you guys worked with a new partner. When we were bringing you on board, we said, hey, we need this. And you said, okay, let us find out what we can. And you found us a solution through Oryx that was able to record the screen and audio and provide, kind of an online platform where we can listen to those calls and score them as well. It's come down at this point to where we end up short-staffed and they're able to, listen to recorded calls, but the scoring hasn't really been in there. And I've brought it back up a few times, if you guys get some shift supervisors in, someone who's not necessarily a manager, but can spend time listening to calls, you can really get some value. And, for the one-on-one reviews, the managers in the call center definitely recognize the value of reviewing calls and, scoring it in their own personal score, kind of, based on, attitude, friendliness, accuracy, how they build rapport with their customers. So they wanted to, but haven't really got onto there. And with staff reductions, unfortunately, it's been tight to, make that time available.
Sure. I understand. Yeah. Some exciting things that we were able to implement. You talked about redundancy and reliability. That was one of the things that you looked for. And you alluded to earlier a little bit about the install process. So maybe you can give us a little more detail as to after we came to an agreement, project team got involved, and how long that took, and how it all came together at the beginning of our service.
Yeah. So after the project got kicked off, we worked with one of your project managers to, kind of build the database, which was the main task before launch of getting all the information correct. And, that process led us to find some things that we didn't really know were going on. It's like, how many fax machines do we really have? Do we really want all these fax machines? Yes, unfortunately. But, and we had a couple of unique situations there that through the discovery we were able to solve. We had paging. This is very important for the communication between the sales and the inventory team that you guys were able to integrate with the new platform using some of our old equipment without having to replace everything. You're able to adapt that. We found that moving to the eFax was going to be a big upgrade. And we also found that sometimes we just had to, find a way to adapt, the previous machines to the current environment. And throughout that whole discovery process, there was definitely some learning going on of, it's like, well, I didn't realize that calls could route to the operator, to a high priority, to this guy, and then to the sales queue. So,
Yep.
That was certainly helpful, and your team helped guide us through that process so
Good.
that we were ready when we went live. I'm thinking back to when we went live. I don't think there was anything really that we missed. Like there are some couple small details that are kind of inevitable with as many. I mean, we have, the 4 different sites. We have, users at every site. We have people doing business slightly differently all over the place. So I felt like we did really well in gathering, the relevant information from each department.
Yeah. A typical install, I typically tell clients, hey, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks, to do it right. Right, we can always take shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you do it right, and you mentioned we're down that track, and we had a date chosen. Was it around the holidays? It seemed like it was.
Yeah. So we had a date chosen, and then of course, not Accent, but there was complications with our carrier. So our carrier we have over 300 DIDs, and at the same time as doing this with you, we also decided to marry that with a circuit upgrade at every location. So we were getting new fiber internet set up at every location to make sure that, not that we didn't have enough bandwidth before, but if we're getting rid of the PRIs, we might as well modernize our internet connections as well.
Right.
So we ran into some complications with carrier end where getting numbers ported over turned out to be a little more difficult than we had first thought. No fault to us or to you, but working with XO was the partner. Working with them, I think Lori on your team there provided a good resource to be able to kind of work through those carrier problems, and it turned out that XO had some additional delays they caused, but we kept the project going, kept the status going, and we're able to implement it and get all those numbers ported over in a timely manner.
Yes.
So it worked well. There was a little push at the end to try and get it all through, but that's kind of how the projects work. Like once you kick off the move with your carrier, you got to make everything happen.
So. The ship has sailed at that point, so.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and it went well. We didn't really lose, any. We were able to operate immediately. We were losing calls only because of the outage we had.
Right.
But switching to your platform, there was not any lost calls, lost customers. The queues were all working. Customers got to the agents, which is the most important part. And then, the final details of, hey, we'd like to have this wrap code rather than that wrap code. Those kind of things are the phase 2 part of the phone system.
Yep. So. Right. So you talked a little bit. So we talked about the technology, reliability, sure. Reporting, obviously deployed in 4 different locations. What would you say about the Accent team, the service team?
I'd say the Accent service team is great. I was really happy with, speaking of the implementation, you guys had hands on site, even in our locations that were far flung, you had smart hands there to get the devices out of the boxes, get them plugged in, get them connected, and that provided great because as a small IT team, we can operate day to day, but when it comes to a phone installation, we got to rely on someone like you and your team to be able to come there and, help train, first of all. You provided training for our staff, and that went great. Everyone got along, wonderfully with the training here. We did video training, and your staff provided that very well. And, after the fact, the service communication's always been great. I talked to a variety of people over there, depending on, what agent picks up the trouble ticket, but I talked to Melissa a lot there. She knows me well. I've seen her, actually, she's come down and visited a couple times.
No way.
I know it. And, I've got great service overall from all the different agents I've worked with. Definitely some knowledgeable staff on your team. So great to know you guys have some people that are not just reading from a script, definitely have done it and know what they're doing.
Yeah. That's one of our strengths. We talk to clients about that all the time. We're big enough to deliver, but small enough to care. And the whole team here abides by that philosophy. So I appreciate that. A lot of technology helps a lot of organizations, but if you don't have the people, it doesn't matter how much technology you got.
Yeah, I mean, as smart as, as much as we can, want things, if you can't kind of interpret that and turn it into, here's a technological solution that will provide, what you want, like what do you really need? And you guys are able to interpret that well into, what we need. And it kind of adapts as we've moved, our kind of requirements. Some people have seen some things, they've seen some of the reporting they have and they want more. And,
Yep.
As projects we're working through here, we hope to work with you on some more innovations in the future. We're moving on to, a new platform here, hopefully at some point, Microsoft Dynamics 365,
Good.
and a new website at some point soon. So I imagine we'll be tapping into your skills there to help us integrate that together.
Cool. Great to hear. So you guys are moving forward. You've been a client, what, about 2 years now? 3 years?
Yep, 2 years. Yeah, we launched right around the beginning of September, so almost exactly the 2-year anniversary. I think it was September 9th or something along those days when, our internet connection went out and we went live.
Yep, there you go.
A little bit early, but it worked out great.
Worked out great. Peter, I really appreciate meeting with you this morning. These are I appreciate the insights with Restaurant Equippers. You guys have been a great partner for us, and we are continuing to be a great partner for you. As Restaurant Equippers continues to grow, we want to be that valued partner. So, I'll catch you.
Yeah, that's our plan. We're just going to keep growing.
That's it.
So we'll keep in touch, that's for sure.
All right, good. I'll catch you next time.